Well, hi again everybody. Welcome to my latest video. This video is part 2 of my new build, my new high-end AMD build. And I want to show you all the parts that I have today. They've all come in now or been purchased separately, and I just wanted to go over them. Start off with the CPU. This one's going to have a Ryzen 3900X CPU in it. I've never used one this high-end before in any of my builds, let alone one that's AMD. I've gone through 2700X and 3700X, and now this is going to be a 3900X. I really couldn't afford the 3950. That would have been the next step up from there, but I think this is good enough. On this system, we're going to have for now, a 512 gigabyte M2 drive as the primary drive C. And that's where the programs that I'll be running, and this is going to be mostly being used for editing my videos and also some gaming that I'd like to do, especially some test cases. It'll also be supported by a 1 terabyte Western Digital SSD, Western Digital Blue to be specific, and I already have 2 of these in my other editing system, as I've shown before when I upgraded it and did a RAID 0 on it. And we're going to have a total of 32 gigabytes of 3600 megahertz memory. This one is Alloy. Got a good price on it. I may upgrade this at some point in the near future because there are some better ones out there that have better numbers to them in terms of some of the propagation delays. And so I may switch that out. But for the initial build, this is going to be what I put in there. It's a total of four 8 gigabit. And then it's all going to be sitting on a TUF Gaming X570 Pro motherboard. It's a rather new model from Asus. It has a lot of nice features to it. Obviously, it can support a lot of memory. As a matter of fact, this can go up to 128 gigabytes if I choose to upgrade it in the future, which you never know. That may happen if this becomes my primary rig. I'll have to see how it works out. It also has another key feature, as you saw in my other videos, in terms of upgrading my local area network. It has built on board the 2.5 gigahertz networking card that's built onto the motherboard. I could always add to it another 10 gigabyte, and I do have an extra one that I could do that with, and I may do that as I'm upgrading in the future, but for now that's all I need. I would also like to put a capture card on here, the Elgato. And that would be a challenge having that in the 10 gigahertz network adapter, but we'll see how that goes. Then we have water cooling. I bought this at a pretty good price. It's a 240 millimeter all-in-one water cooler. It happens to match the tone of the case. Oh, by the way, the case you've already seen. I did a separate review of this in part 1, as you may recall, if you've seen the first part to this series. So this is a pretty good match, and I think that that's what I have to do for this 3900X. It may even deserve a 360, but we'll see how it goes. If I see some heating issues, I may change it out. But for now, I'm going to go with the 240, and I'm also going to have a lot of fans to it. I bought a pack of 3 ARGB fans from Cooler Master as a set. It also comes with a little controller board for the ARGB. They're all PWM. But I want to put 4 fans in here in addition to the 2 that's on the all-in-one water cooler. So I went ahead and bought a separate additional one. So we're going to have 4 of these fans, 3 in this pack and 1 in this one. And then we're going to have the 2 fans that are on the cooler. So this is going to have a lot of fans and a lot of cooling capability. And that's something I wanted to show. It'll also have a lot of RGB. I just went ahead with the theme continuous with the RGB. They'll all be controlled by the motherboard, all of the RGB. Then, a really good price on a power supply. I got a 750 watt Corsair power supply in white, and it has RGB on it. And I just couldn't turn this one down. The sale price for it was just beyond what I could turn down. And all of the cables, by the way, are actually white as well, as you'll see when we put this build together. So that'll be pretty nifty as well. I even went ahead and got a white SATA data cable just so I can keep the theme of the white and the cabling of white consistent. I think that covers all of the parts I wanted to talk about here. I'm missing something. The video card. This CPU doesn't support video control, and I wouldn't want to do that anyway. I'll tell you what happened with this. I was looking for a 3000 series card, and as you all know, that's pretty difficult to find. It's been now probably almost 4 weeks that I've been doing the search and different other activities to try to get one. I'm not going to entertain scalper prices, so that was out of the question. But I went ahead in the interim and bought a NVIDIA 2060 Super card. And it was a reasonable price, and it was available. So I figured I would buy that now, put it into the build, and then we would, upgrade it in the future. Well, let me show you what I did today. Today I went out to my local micro center, which is probably about 15 minutes drive from me. And I'll show here on the screen the line that I wound up on. I actually got a pretty good spot. I was only like 24th in the line, but there was no indication of any cards coming in of any sort that I would be interested in. Matter of fact, the person in front of me and the person behind me, they were interested in getting the latest line of AMD CPUs, and they were hoping that they would come in. So I decided to wait it out anyway. Then suddenly the Micro Center folks came out, and they had a list of what had come in. And when they started reading that list, I was floored. And not just me, but there was like 80 people on that line. It's a short line compared to other lines I've been on at Micro Center, because usually there was some reason to believe they might get something. Well, when he read off the list of available 3000 series cards, you should have seen everybody's jaw dropped. And I got to go in the third group of 10 and went right over to the Micro Center area where the video cards are, and I got to pick basically amongst any video card that I wanted from NVIDIA. Those are the only ones I got in. So what I did is I lucked out. I originally went there thinking I was hoping I would get a 3070, and instead a 3080. I still can't believe that happened, and that was just this morning that this happened, early in the morning. So this is the card that's going to go in this build. I'll put it out here right now, okay? But then I decided I had not opened up the NVIDIA 2060 Super, so I decided to return that and recoup some of the money that I had spent on this. And when I got there, you know what, they still had a bunch of video cards left. They had a bunch of 3090s. They got basically mostly EVGA, but they also got some Asus cards in. And they had a bunch of 3060 Ti's. So I went and looked, and sorry, I broke down. I picked that one up too. Now I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do at this point. I could sell it, but I don't want to be considered a scalper. I could give it to somebody who needs it that I know, or at least, get even money back for it, because there are people that are looking for these cards. Or I could decide to use it in my next build, or maybe upgrade my existing rig, which only has a 1070, and it's way overdue for being replaced. So I just haven't decided, but I just wanted to show. Now, if you think I should put this one in this build instead, please put a comment down below and let me know that. And then I could do something else with this one instead, with the 3080. But, I still can't believe it. I was full disclosure with them. I did tell them the second trip that I had already got one. They didn't seem to be concerned about that because the line had completely dissipated. But obviously, if there were people that came later, and I did see a poor guy that had driven all the way from New Jersey. It was probably about 2.5 hours for him. And he was looking for a 3070, and they were all gone by the time he showed up, which was probably, just before 10 a.m. And, I felt bad, but he really didn't want to buy the 3060, even though they had a bunch of them, and he couldn't afford the 3090. So we were just talking for a while. So anyway, this is the parts that will go into the build. And I really like this motherboard. It's going to be the first 570 board that I've used in any of my builds. And I like all the features that are on this board. Hopefully it lives up to its reputation and it serves this PC well. As I said, this is going to be my new backup editing rig, and possibly using it for some game experimentation and some benchmarking that I want to start getting into more. Because as you've noticed in the videos I've done up to this point, I didn't do much or any gaming benchmarks. And you know, they're pretty straightforward to do. I was looking into it over the past couple of days. So I may start slowly incorporating them into my builds at the end. I may just go ahead and add a couple of more standard benchmarks too, which I've never used before, that are also available. So we'll see. Now the actual build is not going to be today. I'm just, you know, basically rounding up all the parts and hoping that some of you have some comments for me in terms of whether or not you think I've made a good selection here or not. And the next video, I'll actually put the thing together. And there'll probably be a video after that where I do the benchmarking. Because if you've watched some of my other videos, you'll see that I tend to be very detailed when I do a build video, you know, showing people who may be new to the building of a PC. And I actually ran into a guy on the line 2 guides back from me, and he was thinking about having Micro Center build it for him. And me and the guy in front of me, we were really talking to him and trying to convince him he should try it. And there's a lot of information out there. So I'm not sure if he'll do it or not, but we'll see. If you got anything out of this video that you found interesting, entertaining, or useful in any way, please do me a favor and consider subscribing to my channel. That would be very helpful. And if you don't have a Micro Center near you, well, I don't know what to say about that, but if you do, I suggest you go take a trip over there. And the trucks tend to arrive, at least the one on Long Island here, Tuesday through Friday. They get 4 trucks a week. And if you're there in the morning before they open, at least an hour ahead, you know, I was there today like an hour and 45 minutes ahead, then you have a good chance if they get a delivery. They don't know what's coming in until they open up the truck. The manager was telling me that. He says he opens it up, it's like opening up a Christmas present. Sometimes he opens it up and it's nothing, you know, a drab, and he knows that it's going to be an issue because a lot of more people are going to want it than he has. And then like today, he said today was the most cards he had ever gotten. So that's something to keep in mind. Anyway, thanks for watching, and take care, and please stay tuned for part 3, which I put this all together.